Good morning and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. My name is Diana Skaya. As temperatures soar in Kosovo's capital, so do political tensions. After more than 50 failed attempts, Parliament still can't elect a speaker, leaving the country stuck in limbo. Now, Saturday's double failure was the final straw, triggering a constitutional freeze until August 8th. That means now no new votes, no new moves, and no new government. And joining me now to break it all down is Drilon Gashi, Chief of Mission at the Consulate General of Kosovo in Warsaw. Drilon, I'm so happy to have you with us here this morning on World Talks. It's quite an unfolding situation. First of all, I want to tell you that we stand with your country's people in the fires that are taking place. Do tell me in a couple of words, are they being contained? How is that situation looking like right now?
No, thank you very much for having me and for inquiring on this. Yes, no, I think that the situation is under control. We as other countries here in the south of Europe are dealing with wildfires because of the very high temperatures. But the information I have is that everything is being managed under control thus far.
All right, Drilon, let's get into what's really unfolding now. How is Kosovo functioning under this political paralysis, if that's what I can call it? I mean, are we looking possibly at a prolonged legislative crisis? I mean, we're talking about here the parliament failed to convene more than 50 times. Do correct me if I'm mistaken, 54 to be exact, or 53?
54. You have the number right. Yes, so, this is, for us, sort of an unprecedented situation and delay in the formation, actually in the election of a new parliament speaker, which would then be the predecessor to the prime minister-elect, Albin Kurti, who's the current acting prime minister, being able to create a new government. This time around, the election of the speaker itself has required a coalition vote, a majority vote, because the candidate of the Vetëndosje party, Ms. Aquilina Hagiu, has not been able to secure the votes of more than 61 deputies, or more than half of the 120 deputies in the Parliament of Kosovo, in order to be able to become speaker. And then the next process would be election of the deputy speakers, which there are 5. And then the opportunity for the prime minister-elect to create a new government. There has been one initial opinion of the Constitutional Court with regards to the situation that has been somewhat inconclusive. So the reading of the government of Kosovo, which of course I represent here, is that all members of parliament have a duty to elect the parliament speaker. Whereas the responsibility of appointing that speaker comes from the party that won the most votes in the election, Vetëndosje. However, opposition parties feel that candidate should be consensual and should be someone that they support. And so for PDK, AAK, and the Serb list, they prefer that candidate is another candidate within Vetëndosje. LDK, the third largest party, has stated that they will not vote any candidate that's proposed by Vetëndosje. So I think the gridlock represents the fact that right now within the 3 major parties, so Vetëndosje, PDK, LDK, there isn't yet this language of consensus on creating a new government. So 2 of these 3 parties would most likely be involved in a new government, or the alternative would be Vetëndosje with a smaller coalition partners, in addition to the ones it has currently, forming the magic number of 61, 62, 3 that would allow for a new government. So we're in this process now. It's been 54 attempts, as you rightly said, and now we'll have a 2-week period before the process restarts. But the Constitutional Court will provide some guidance as to what this next step is if there isn't a political arrangement made by Kosovo's political parties.
Let me ask you 2 things. I mean, I'm curious to know, what is the public perception about this unfolding situation? How is the public reacting to that?
I think the one thing is, of course, the public, as sort of everybody in Kosovo, including, I would probably even say, of course, the party in government and also opposition parties, wants a resolution to this situation. I think the parties who are in the process want that resolution to be in line with their vision and the issues now that hasn't been achieved. But in the broader electorate, certainly there is some frustration with the situation, and perhaps more than frustration, a great desire for Kosovo to move on and to establish a new governing coalition and to sort of continue forward with a lot of the good progress that has been made in terms of integration to NATO and the EU, in terms of economic development and the relations with important countries in Europe and beyond, including in Poland. And so I think
Drilon, let me interrupt you there. You did mention. You said a very
Please.
important factor there. Getting into the EU. Do you think that the instability that's going on right now could actually impact Kosovo's EU integration path?
I don't think it can impact the path overall. And what may be interesting for your viewers in Poland and around the world is that there's not a difference in Kosovo depending on which party is in power on the path towards joining the EU and NATO. So there is a consensus view. 97% of the people in Kosovo are in favor of EU and NATO integration. So it's not as if one or another party coming into power changes that strategic orientation of the country. That's one thing that I wanted to emphasize. But certainly, there are, as has been discussed even on your program, there are delays in terms of funding that we would receive from the EU due to there not being a new government and parliament in place. And so it's more of a slight delays that are being created. But overall, I think from the EU as well, of course, they're awaiting the formation of a new government to sort of continue the work that has been done and to kick off new initiatives. So we're hoping there's no further delays there. And I think, partially this is, I guess the Kosovar version of, the brinkmanship or the back and forth process that we've actually seen across Europe in terms of creating a new coalition government. So I can cite, cases like in Austria and Germany and elsewhere where there has been delays in creating new coalitions. And I think in that way, we're not too different from these other partners, but of course, with the specificities of, the vote of speaker in our case being the particularly challenging point currently.
All right, so you also just mentioned, Drilon, about, of course, waiting for funds. But let me ask you this. How damaging is this repeated failure to elect a speaker, both for Kosovo's democratic institutions and alike for its international credibility?
It's, I think it's interesting. In a way, it shows the health of the Kosovar democracy, in the sense that, of course, it is taking a prolonged time to constitute a new parliament, a new government, and have them working for the people. And there is real frustration with that. But at the same time, it's a quite transparent process. So everyone is aware of the fact that the delays are due to there not being a coalition in place. The coalition discussions have been very public. The candidate that has been proposed for speaker, who has to date been unsuccessful, is actually the most voted women candidate for MP in these past elections. So she does carry with her a lot of legitimacy as an individual who has been voted into the upcoming parliament. And so, I think what you're not seeing is perhaps the backroom dealing and the things that are far from the public eye that would happen in this case. So it is a prolonged process. It's not a process you would look to avoid, but it does put everything is sort of the government is, or the people are aware of what the stakes are, why there isn't an agreement. The fact that Vetëvendosje has publicly offered, for example, a coalition with LDK, the third largest party, which LDK has refused. Vetëvendosje has preferred not to work with PDK, the second largest party, so there hasn't been an offer there. And then with the one smaller party, NISMA, who has been involved in coalition talks. There is sort of a disagreement in terms of what the terms of that coalition would be. And so all of this information is not only what I know as chief of mission or ambassador of Kosovo serving in Poland, it's actually in the public realm. So I would say that is the one bright spot in an otherwise unfortunate situation that we hope to resolve very soon.
Can we see, though, fresh elections coming up? Is that something that we can see in the near future? What do you predict exactly?
So yeah, I think this is one of two possibilities now. So the Constitutional Court will have until August 8th to provide, an answer as to what are the repercussions of the fact that there have been so many attempts that have been unsuccessful at electing a speaker, and one would be, potentially setting the way for new elections, or perhaps imposing an additional deadline through which Vetëvendosje in this case would have the opportunity to manage the process for appointing the speaker again. And so I can't say, certainly going to be one of these two options. I can't say what is more likely at this time. We will be having local elections in Kosovo on October 12th. So some of the thinking is that there may be national local elections potentially on the same date. But at this point, that's not clear. And that's not clear also for the fact that the results that we had in February of this year, where the last national elections were held, are likely to be pretty similar in new elections. So I guess that just lends, points to the fact that we may not be in a very different situation after those elections than we are now. So perhaps we may as well best find a way to solve the situation in the current moment.
Let me ask you this. What about, what are some of the consequences that you could tell me possibly if Kosovo doesn't implement this EU facilitated agreement with Serbia?
So yes, on the agreement with Serbia, Kosovo has continued to implement that agreement, and I think we would argue from our side that unfortunately the implementation from Serbia's side has not been at the level of what we're seeing from Kosovo. But the current government is committed to the dialogue process, and that would be one of the important priorities of a future government as well. So that's not impacted. Now I think due to us not having a new parliament and government, and due to the ongoing protests in Serbia, it has not been the ideal political moment for the dialogue to be as productive as it could be. But I think the discussions have been continuing even at this time that we're in the process of electing a new speaker. There have been meetings at lower levels, at expert levels in the dialogue process with Serbia. So that has been continuing, notwithstanding the political situation in Kosovo.
Drilon, thank you so much for being with us here on World Talks this morning, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens in early August. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that's all for this edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching.